heads of government and extra-ministerial departments, heads of Nigerian security apparatchik, serving service chiefs and their representatives and former service chiefs, faith leaders, community leaders, the very special members of the National Youth Service Corps who are all gathered here, we celebrate you. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is wonderful to be celebrating today a man who is very special to us. My name is Eugenia Abu. I'm a national broadcaster, and I'm working today with my brother, Andy Gabriel. Andy, where are you? Let's celebrate Andy, please. Let's give him a hand. Thank you very much. I also see former Secretary to the Government of the Federation gathered here. I see former governors. I see former ministers, and I'd like to salute them all. I am without a doubt one of the most privileged persons today, along with my colleague Andy Gabriel, to stand before Nigeria's most influential cognoscenti, the global glitterati, top-level government functionaries, and be on stage to join a powerful organizing committee chaired by Professor Jerry Gana in celebrating a man of immense contribution to the Nigerian nation. It is such a great honor. Today we celebrate a father, a grandfather, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, and the icing on the cake, an unflappable Nigerian who is a top-level Nigerian leader, a general and a gentleman. His Excellency General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and husband to one of Nigeria's most amiable and fashion-forward first ladies, Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Victoria Gowon. Let's hear a round of applause for the celebrant and his lovely wife. Today we gather to give honor to whom honor is due, a man who God has honored and blessed to bring him to the ripe age of 90. A blessing and an honor. I warmly welcome you to this public lecture in honor of our unassailable and most respected former head of state. But there is absolutely nothing that we do without putting God first. And so, we're going to start by putting God front and center of this event, because we also know that the celebrant puts God front and center. It's time now for me to invite His Grace, Archbishop John Onaikon, to please deliver the opening prayers, sir. Can we applaud him as he makes his way? It's a long walk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. He's coming to hand this event onto the hands of God. And a man such as His Grace is the right man to do the honors for us this afternoon. Thank you, sir.
Shall we, for a moment, keep an attitude of silence and humble devotion to our Almighty and merciful God. O Almighty and merciful God, Father of all mankind, we praise and give glory to your holy name that you have brought us together in this beautiful environment to celebrate your servant, our great former leader, General Yakubu Gowon, who is celebrating 90 years of age. The Holy Book tells us 70 is the sum of our years, 80 for those who are strong. The Holy Book says nothing for those who have reached 90. They must be exceptionally strong. And for this, we thank the Almighty and Merciful Father. We thank you, Lord, for bringing all of us together around this wonderful soldier and gentleman who has a way of bringing Nigeria together in unity and in harmony. And that the atmosphere that you have created for us in this hall may go beyond this hall to our nation at large, especially in this moment of difficulties we are going through. Keep us united. Help us to find a way to your peace, which must be built on justice and fair play. We thank you, Lord. May your name be praised now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, sir. And a quick slip in the middle of a pressure. We had His Grace, indeed, His Eminence, John Cardinal Onaikon. Please give him a round of applause. He has committed the event to God, and it is my distinct pleasure to now invite the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Alhaji Yaya Ahmed, to come forward and deliver his set of prayers. As Alhaji Yaya Ahmed makes his way to the podium, please continue to clap. Indeed, it is a long walk, but we're here to celebrate a man who deserves every inch of our celebration. And our applause, if our hands are not busy, let's keep at it, please. Thank you very much. Could you put your phones in the silent mode? You don't want to be the one whose phone is ringing in the middle of a speech. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Alhaji Yaya Ahmed. Thank you, sir.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Peace be upon each and every one of us this afternoon. Allah, you have gathered us here today to celebrate a father, a leader, an embodiment of humility, patience, patriotism, and commitment to the nation, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon. Ya Allah, as this nation is going through one of its most trying periods, open our eyes to imbibe the culture of humility of General Gowon. Open our ears to listen to the wisdom and patience of General Gowon. Open our eyes to commit ourselves in distinctive patriotism to this nation, so that what we are facing today as challenges will just be seen as history, as General Gowon was able to see the crisis which he went through as history most successfully, to the admiration of all the people in the world. Allah, we cannot do it alone. We have to imbibe the culture of humility, of tolerance, accommodation, which General Gowon is an embodiment. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا اللهم نسألك خير ونعوذ بك شر يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وغفر لنا وغفر والدينا يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبي الكريم سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Please, I'd like that we applaud Alhaji Yahya Ahmed one more time. Thank you very much. Let me just quickly welcome His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, immediate past President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, represented here by the immediate past Secretary to Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Gida Mustafa. Please, a round of applause for him. Would also like to please plead with all and sundry that we are live on national televisions, and in the light of that, we should please settle down because we are in a very serious business here, all in honor of a nanogenarian, His Excellency Dr. Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. But then please, we'll also have to plead with you to keep your conversations in selutones so we can be able to hear ourselves and have a seamless event. Moving on very quickly, it is my honor and privilege to then invite to the rostrum the chairman of the National Planning Committee for the General Dr. Yakubu Gowon's 90th birthday. Please join me in welcoming the former Minister of Information and Culture of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Jerry Ghana, CON, PhD.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, here represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, Your Excellency, the former Head of State of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the celebrant of the day, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Victoria Gowon, the very distinguished chairman of this lecture, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, our beloved guest speaker, currently the President of the African Development Bank, who has come all the way to give this lecture, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Architect Namadi Sambo, Your Excellency, the Governor of Bauchi State and other governors here present, Your Excellency's former governors here present, the very, very distinguished traditional ruler, because he happens to be my traditional ruler, the Etsunupe. I say the Etsunupe is a Bagorosh. Your Excellencies, very, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, would like, because this is live and the time is limited, would like to appeal to those who are going to speak that you could just adopt the protocol already very well laid out by the MCs. That will save us a lot of time. On behalf of the National Planning Committee and on behalf of the family, friends, and associates of His Excellency General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, I'm very delighted to have the opportunity and the privilege to welcome all of you to this public lecture. Kindly join me, put your hands together for the celebrant. Can I hear you? We thank you very much for giving us the privilege of celebrating you today. I also, on behalf of the National Planning Committee, wish to thank immensely the distinguished chairman for this public lecture, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Dr. Mohammed Saad Abubakar III, CFR. Your Eminence, we thank you for accepting to chair this lecture. You are most appropriate. You are well desired. In fact, the family insisted that we should do everything possible to get you to chair this lecture, and when I reported to them that you've accepted, they were very delighted. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, kindly join me. Welcome the Sultan of Sokoto, very distinguished chairman of this lecture. Distinguished guests, may we request you to also kindly join me as we celebrate and as we look forward to the lecture because we have a very brilliant mind, a celebrated leader who, when he was Minister of Agriculture of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, performed excellently. He won the election to become the President of the African Development Bank and is doing very, very well. And all Nigerians are proud of him. Kindly join me in welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Akinwumi Adeshina. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Your Excellency, we thank you very much for accepting to be our guest speaker today. We look forward very much to what you have to say on this great day when we are celebrating the birthday, not just an ordinary birthday, but the 90th birthday of the former head of state. We welcome you, and we're looking very much forward to what you want to say to us on this occasion. In making preparations for this lecture, we've been greatly helped by the authorities at ECOWAS, especially the President of the ECOWAS Commission and the Commissioner representing Nigeria in ECOWAS. Both of them and the other staff at ECOWAS really helped us greatly. Therefore, I want you to particularly help me to greet the President of the ECOWAS Commission because they have received us very well. Can I hear you? Put your hands together for them. When I was busy thanking them and really expressing how delighted we are, they said, look, we have no choice. That is our founder. That is our father. That is the one who has shown the way. This is what we ought to do, and we are delighted to do it. So, Honorable, Your Excellency, the celebrant, you made our task very easy because they already loved you, and they wanted to really do today. I lost my way. Brilliant. Kindly join me again. Put your hands together for the ECOWAS. Thank you very much. The Director General and staff of NYSA have also been very supportive in our preparations for this lecture. In fact, they requested us that they be specially allowed to host this lecture. So you can see that the NYSC is everywhere today. In fact, we have to now plead with some of them if they can give us a few more seats so that some dignitaries have arrived. Are they cooperating? Are they assisting us? Thank you. Put your hands together for the NYSC. So we thank the Director General and all the other directing staff at the NYSC for being so brilliant because they are so much in love with their founder. General Gowon is loved at the NYSC. We didn't have any problem whatsoever securing their support to help us. So on behalf of the National Planning Committee, I do now want to really thank you immensely for finding the time to be here this evening. Abuja is a very difficult place to organize lectures, but now we are oversubscribed. There's lots of people outside. So, General Gowon, you are a wonderful person to really celebrate. I'm delighted you made me chairman to celebrate your event. Kindly put your hands together for General Gowon again. And so, on behalf of the National Planning Committee, we celebrate and congratulate the celebrant, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who will be turning 90 tomorrow. And we really thank God for your life, a man of excellence, a man of integrity, a man of wisdom, a man of God, the one who went around praying for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We pray that God will answer your prayers for Nigeria. I can't hear your amen. I can't hear your amen. Therefore, join the National Planning Committee to shout happy birthday to the celebrant. Can I hear you? But the wonderful person who actually directed us to organize these celebration events was not directly the general himself, but the better half. You know, in the army, the wives have a superior office. And therefore, if general is general doctor, The person I'm calling now is a field marshal. So, the National Planning Committee would like to thank Mrs. Victoria Gowon for finding us worthy of being given this task of organizing this celebration event. We hope, because her standards are very, very high, we hope we'll do our best. We are starting today. Today will be good. Tomorrow will be greater. The evening will be the best. So I welcome all of you. Listen to the lecture. Be blessed. You too will be 90. I said you too will be 90. Thank you very much for listening.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished invitees, our very special celebrant, members of the high table, isn't it wonderful to be in the midst of your people at 90? It's a beautiful thing to celebrate, and Her Excellency, the former First Lady, Dr. Mrs. Victoria Gowon, is all smiles. She's the one who allowed the committee to do what they are doing. Planning Committee Chair, the former Minister, the indefatigable chairperson of the Planning Committee has spoken. We thank you, sir. Another round of applause for him. Thank you very much. There are so many quotes, and it's difficult to find the best ones to use when you're dealing with a special personality who has turned 90. He's a statesman. He's an Africanist. He's a patriot. He's a former head of state. He's a peace lover and has traversed the African sub-region, and across the world is a global leader. Let's give another round of applause to our celebrant, please. It is from this man that we heard the famous quote, "The future of Nigeria lies in the hands of its youth. They must be given the opportunity to lead and to excel," unquote. General Dr. Yakubu Gowon. Let's hear three gbosas from the coppers in the house. Let's go. That is what it's all about. The young people that General Gowon said would lead this nation are here in their numbers in a place where he created the National Youth Service Corps to ensure that we are all unified. And many people have married from that scheme, have done well from that scheme. We thank you, sir. I would like at this point to recognize, representing the whole of the FCT, the Honorable Minister of State, who is in our midst today for FCT. She is a family medical practitioner. She is a politician. She is a leader, Dr. Maria Mahmood. Help me welcome her. She's representing FCT. The Honorable Minister is here with us. We thank her so very much. And of course, His Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has joined us. He's here with us. We thank you, sir. Always good to see you. And we have with us, of course, the former Senate President, His Excellency Dr. Bukola Saraki. We welcome him. We have with us the APC National Chair, His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje. We will continue to bring the recognitions, but I think it's worthy for us to mention that we have on the high table the man who will deliver the keynote today, the President of the ADB, who is already seated. Dr. Akinwumi had already introduced you, but it's good for them to see who is delivering the keynote today. Please stand up for a few minutes. Let them see you. That is our distinguished keynote speaker for today. We welcome you, sir. It's good to see you. I'd like at this point to welcome Professor Ahmed Tijani Mora, OON, Kayayan Sarking Muslumi, to introduce to us the chairman of this occasion. As he makes his way to the podium, please celebrate him. Our chairman is speaking next, and Professor Mora, will be the best person to introduce the chair for today's occasion. Professor Mora, we thank you for doing the honors. Thank you very much indeed. He's making his way to the podium.
His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President of Nigeria, is represented. Distinguished invited ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a very rare privilege for me to be called upon to introduce the chairman of today's occasion. As part of the activities lined up to celebrate the 90th birthday anniversary of a great Nigerian, distinguished African and a statesman, His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, PhD, and Nigeria's head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, July 1966 to 1975. The general, affectionately referred to as Mutumin Kirki, that is noble and trustworthy man, especially in the north, will clock 90 tomorrow, Saturday 19th October 2024. Allow me, Your Excellency, to go back into history, and specifically the years of 1908, 1921, 1950, and 1970, in introducing the chairman of today's occasion. In 1908, the Northern Protectorate appointed Sir Hans Vischer, who lived between 1876 to 1945, a Swiss-born British national, to establish the first public elementary school in Northern Protectorate. Sir Vischer had traveled widely around the world and had a good command of Arabic, Fulfulde, Kanuri, and Hausa languages, and of course, in addition to German, French, and English languages. He was undoubtedly a polyglot. The school was established in 1908 in Kano and referred by the locals as Makarantar da Hausa, that is, School of Son of Hausa, due undoubtedly to his mastery of the Hausa language. By 1914, upon the amalgamation of Northern and Southern Protectorates, Sir Vischer was appointed Director of Education for the Northern region. In 1921, the British colonial administration established the first public secondary school in the north, the Katsina Trading College, which later became Katsina Higher College, later Kaduna College, Zaria Secondary School, and Government College Zaria, and now Barewa College Zaria. In 1950, His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon was admitted into Zaria Secondary School when the school was relocated to Zaria, with admission number Barewa number 783. Of the 6 student hostels constructed at the present site of the school in 1949 and 1950, when the movement from Kaduna to Zaria took place, was Ang Hausa Hostel in honor of Sir Hans Vischer, who unfortunately had passed on 5 years earlier in 1945. The young Yakubu Gowon was assigned to Dan Hausa House. In 1970, the chairman of today's occasion was admitted into Government College Zaria for his secondary school education with admission number Barewa number 2612. And he too was assigned to Dan Hausa Hostel. Of course, that was 20 years after our celebrant was admitted into the college, when it was Zaria Secondary School. Today, of the 5 heads of states that were prime minister, heads of state, or presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as the case may be, that attended Barewa College, Zaria, for their secondary school education, the highest from any school in Nigeria and West Africa, only the name of General Yakubu Gowon Dan Hausa House. Okay. Again, in similar fashion, the 2 sultans of Sokoto who attended Barewa College Zaria for their secondary school education, only the chairman of today's lecture has a physical structure named after him, by way of immortalization. That is the Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar Assembly Hall, which was built by the 1970 members of BOBA. This similarity of trends between the celebrant and the chairman of the lecture is a testimony to the effect that the Sultan had the credentials and pedigree to chair this lecture event. More to the point, His Excellency, the celebrant, is a general in the Nigerian Army, while the chairman is a retired brigadier general. This introduction of the chairman, drawing similarities with the celebrant from the perspective of Barrier Zaria and the armed forces, I believe is historically relevant. Distinguished invited guests, kindly put your hands together to welcome His Eminence, Alhaji Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, CFR MNI, the 20th Sultan of Sokoto, whose ancestors established the Sokoto Caliphate in 1804, the President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, President of the Jama'at al-Nusrat al-Islam, Co-Chair of the Nigeria Interreligious Council, President Chancellor of University of Ibadan, and one-time Chancellor of University of Benin, and also one-time Chancellor Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and equally a recipient of no fewer than 17 honorary doctorate degrees as today's chairman. Thank you very much.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. Your Excellency, the celebrant, Jack Yakubu Gowon, and his adorable better half, our own sister, Victoria. We're all here for General Gowon, so I call him first. I recognize him first to show that we're all here for you. The representative of the President of the SGF, the former President Yalla Onsakwato, General Obasanjo, is one of my title holders, but he's not dressed as a title holder today, and is seated near me. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honorable ladies and gentlemen, too numerous to mention you one by one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let us first and foremost thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the long life He decided to give Yakubu Gowon. General Gowon evokes nostalgia for the good old days. The story of their days may today sound a fairy tale. There was a pecking order of seniority by age in community, and elders who are respected and revered, irrespective of their tribe or religion. A child was everybody's child in the community. So every child behaved and could be disciplined by any adult, anywhere, anytime. The values of honesty, probity, hard work, selflessness were the hallmark of our society. Teachers were also role models, and so they were pupils of their own children. No one dared to live above his means or acquire any wealth beyond his legitimate earnings. It is the immediate community that sanctions such venality before even the authorities step in. The civil service was both productive and efficient. Citizens had a lot of respect for authority. Society lived in peace and harmony. General Gowon's presence reminds us of the struggle to keep this country intact and united. His name evokes Nigerian unity. Gowon was turned into an acronym for Go On with One Nigeria. Indeed, he was the symbol of unity, humility, and accommodation. He came to leadership as a child of necessity following the 1966 military coup, as a young, dashing bachelor whom one beautiful nurse had her eyes on and swept him off his feet. And 1969 brought the two of them together as head of state and first lady. You all know what I mean because Victoria had been there all these years. National cohesion and integration had been the hallmark of what we have been doing. He laid the foundation for continuity and stability. We owe him immense gratitude for the perseverance and tenacity in keeping this country in one piece and at peace with itself. Nigeria is exceptionally lucky to have a statesman of his age in full consciousness. Not many countries are really lucky to have such statesmen that live this long and in relatively good health. Statesmen are a repository of institutional memory and wisdom. Their presence in our midst help us to remember things and recall experiences that would guide us in times of crisis. It's my pleasure and privilege, and I say privilege, but when I was a young man, when Gowon was head of state, I was a very, very young person. Today, it's a privilege to chair this anniversary lecture where we recognize our nation's leader and our mentor and appreciate his contribution to this great country at a critical junction of its history. The lecturer, as we all know, a distinguished Nigerian whom we are all very proud of for his services to the country and Africa, is really fit to wear the cap of the distinguished lecturer for today. My few words above are only an attempt to convey our gratitude to this great statesman. Only Almighty God can reward him for the sacrifices and the perseverance he made to keep this country one and serve it with diligence and dedication. Before I conclude, I would like to just want to ask all of us here in this hall, look around and see the dignitaries that have come to honor this humble and honorable gentleman. Why so? And I'll quote, I'm trying to give you an answer now, and I quote my father, Sultan Dasuki, the 18th Sultan of Sokoto, where he said, if you pursue a life of honor, you may come to some material abundance. But if you pursue strictly the accumulation of material wealth by any and every means, you are not likely to find the company and pleasure of honor. As I round up, I want to use this medium, as I've done before. I have talked with them to wish General Gowon many, many more years in good health, as his presence in our midst is a panacea for our unity and stability. As I say happy 90th birthday, may Almighty Allah bring us together again, not this hall to a much bigger hall, for us to mark your 100 years alive and healthy. As I thank all of you, because I don't want to say much about our relationship with General Gowon and his family, with my father. I would allow him to say so, because one thing I know he's always telling me he is missing is the fura that we used to take to him in Dodam Barracks when he was head of state. And I told him that fura is still available, and I will send it to him today to his house. So, General, once more, we wish you all the very best. And to everybody here, as the chairman of this occasion, and I want to ask the chairman of the planning committee, I hope I'm chairing very well. Because you say if you are doing anything, do it well. So if you are chairing, you better chair well. So Chairman, I hope I'm chairing very well. We thank you most sincerely and wish you all the very best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Would like that we give the distinguished chairman of this occasion another bigger round of applause. And to also thank him. We must also thank him for keeping it very succinct and, of course, straight to the point. And I think this is leadership by example. So we're expecting other speakers to follow suit. Please let's give him another round of applause. At this juncture, I just want to take time out to recognize very quickly from this end the former Vice President, Architect Mohammed Namadi Sambo, GCON. We welcome you, sir. We also welcome the Governor of Bauchi State, Kauram Bauchi, Senator Bala Mohammed. We welcome you, sir. We welcome the former Governor of Bauchi State, Dr. Adamu Azu, CON. A round of applause for him. We also welcome the former Governor of Kano State, Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. We welcome you, sir. And then from this other end, we must also recognize the Etsunope Bagadoji. We'd like to welcome you. Please let's welcome Dr. Yahya Abubakar III. We'd like you. Thank you so very much for coming. We'll keep the recognitions coming, but then, of course, the business at hand. We have a long list of distinguished senators seated at the other end. I see Senator Adams Oshomole, Senator Diket Plank, Senator Adamu Alero, and of course a host of senators. Please let's applaud all of them, please. And moving on, we'd also want to plead with every other speaker, perhaps accept the guests of honor, or rather the guest lecturer, and the distinguished honoree, that every other person would please just do us the honor of sticking, or rather observing the protocol that's been very well established by Eugenia Abu. Moving on very quickly, a bit of culture, which is what General Gowon is known for. He loves Nigerian food. Even whilst he was in London schooling, he was every now and then eating Nigerian food. That much I can tell you. He loves native food. And so we want to showcase a bit of the cultural, rich, very cultural heritage of our people. And in the light of that, we'd like to welcome, salute to excellence in songs and cultural dance, but this time from the Jarawa dancers from Plateau State. Let's welcome them with a resounding applause, please. Jarawa dancers. You have just 5 minutes. Jarawa dancers. 5 minutes and your time starts now. Not here, sir. Down. Akasa. Yowa.
in the waters of our tradition. The rhythm, the dance, music, culture. This is truly African. The Jarawa dancers from Plateau State, let's give them another round of applause. Because we have roots, we have community, we have rhythm, we were born dancing. It's a typical Nigerian thing. We thank them for celebrating our celebrants. We appreciate them. And talking about roots and culture, I would like to note very quickly some of our eminent traditional rulers who are here with us today. His Royal Majesty Eze Dr. Cletus Ilomwan, Chairman, Imo State Elders Council, Co-Chairman, Southern Traditional Rulers Council, Chancellor, Federal University, Birnin Kebbi. Let's give him a round of applause. He's here with us. And of course, we have Dr. Benjamin Kechuku, Secretary, Southern Traditional Ruler Council, the Dane of Agbo. A round of applause for him. He's seated on the high table. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. A couple of weeks ago, a gentleman made his way to a wedding. A very celebrated gentleman, a very high-ranking gentleman, and took to the dance floor to show just how much his knees are in good shape. That gentleman, only yesterday, was chairman at an occasion where I was privileged to be anchor, and he took charge as only him can. A man astute in shuttle diplomacy, a former president and cultural aficionado. I bring you a man whose time it is to deliver his intervention at this celebration today. Please help me welcome a man popularly referred to as OBJ, His Excellency, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, continue to clap, it's a long walk. And he makes his way, exchanges pleasantries as he always does. We celebrate His Excellency.
Your Excellency, Your Excellency, my boss, the celebrant, a man of destiny, Sir, before I go on and recognize or acknowledge the presence of all the distinguished men and women here, I want to report to you to speak. I'm the chairman of this occasion. I said to him that if he will chair well, he will not call me to speak. And he said he will use is power and authority to make sure that I am called out to speak. And I said if he does that, he will not have been chairing well. As if that was not bad enough. When I was called out, he said he has successfully performed a coup. Sir, in your power and authority as the former president and head and commander-in-chief, I will leave the judgment in your hand. Tomorrow, I'm supposed to be speaking. And I don't want to undermine myself by saying today what I should be saying tomorrow.
Hassan, change your shot. Give me another set of.
But I will say a few of the things that I will be saying tomorrow. One is that
Hold it. Come, on you, Hassan.
this is a national celebration. And you are worthy to be nationally celebrated while you are still alive. I look at the galaxy of distinguished men and women around. Only very few of them can claim to be eyewitnesses to your time in government, not to talk of your time in the army. And because by the grace of God, who has given you the longevity of life, and who has given me a little bit to be following you, I will just thank God on your behalf that God has made you to be 90. If I have come from Calabar, I will say 90 no be yoke. And sir, 90 no be joke. I will reserve the rest of my comment till tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Your Excellencies, indeed, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, His Excellency, is a man who is a delight to media personalities. Not only is he a delight to media personalities, he indeed brings it each time. And Nigerians celebrate you, sir. We welcome you and we thank you for your intervention today. We do have quite a number of goodwill messages as the program proceeds, but we will, at this point, like to take a quick quote. All we have is the knowledge passed on to us by our elders, experiences we inculcate and hardly negate. But to bridge the generation gap, one needs to adapt to the new while retaining the goodness of the old. I believe that our celebrant, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, understands what it means when I say to my children, I don't understand Instagram. I'll go there, but I don't understand it. And they say to me, but you have to come along. It's also the part where wisdom is conferred on elder statesmen like our celebrant today, who can call us all to order because at 90, he has earned his stripes. Our celebrant today also understands what it means when it is said, remain patient and give all your respect to our beloved seniors. They have earned their dignity through their lifetime. Let's give a round of applause to our celebrant one more time. And who says music is not the food of the soul? And because we have music today, and we are a nation of very celebrated musicians, singers, and performers across the world, our children are breaking new grounds, and they are delivering from coast to coast across the world. It's time for us now to take salute to excellence in songs, hymns, and anthems by the Festival of Praise Choir and Orchestra. We do this in celebration. If they are ready, so are we. This is a skill set that is not given to everyone. Some people are able to speak well, some people are able to sing well, and some people are able to dance well. We don't all have the same skills. And this collection of young men and women will delight us in songs, hymns, and anthems. By the Festival of Praise Choir, let's encourage them as they make their way to the stage. Thank you very much. very much indeed, Mr. Chair. That is salute to excellence in songs, hymns, and anthems by the Festival of Praise Choir and Orchestra. Another round of applause for them for doing such a great job and for managing their time as best as they can. Your Excellencies, I would like to quickly recognize a woman very much after my heart, whose job very early on is to be a diplomat. And subsequently, she went on to run the Ministry of Women Affairs in Nigeria. Help me welcome Ambassador Judith Sefiata, former Minister for Women Affairs, who is 91 years old. Your Excellency, welcome. It's good to see you, ma. And as they say in my mother's place, Nyase Avo. Welcome, ma. Welcome. We also have former Minister of Environment, Her Excellency, Distinguished Senator Helen Eswene, who is in the house with us. I see you, ma'am. Welcome. Good to see you. We also have guests who are here, Apostle Alfred T.B. Williams and Reverend Mrs. Oymaya Williams from the United Kingdom. They are our guests here. We welcome you. Let's salute them. Please clap for them. Reverend Dr. and Pastor Mrs. Moses Arosiola, we thank you for coming. Thank you very much indeed. Andy has the next item on the agenda. Andy.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Standing by the already established protocol, I have the very rare privilege of having to introduce our guest lecturer today. Our guest lecturer today is a man that needs really no introduction because he's traversed the length and breadth of Africa and the world, but of course has also won laurels and encomiums, not only for himself, but to the entire continent of Africa. I introduce to you our guest lecturer, Dr. Akinwumi A. Adesina, President, African Development Bank Group. But just as he makes his way here, I'd just like that you stand where you are briefly, because in the parts of the country where I'm from, when we introduce guest lecturers, we ask them to just rise for a brief moment. And I'd like to just quickly say that he is often described as Africa's optimist in chief. African Development Bank Group President, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, is widely lauded for his visionary leadership and passion for Africa's transformation. Formerly the Nigerian Agriculture Minister, Dr. Adesina was elected President of the African Development Bank Group on May 28, 2015. He was unanimously re-elected for a second term of 5-year term on August 27, 2020. Dr. Adesina graduated with a bachelor's degree in agricultural economics, first-class honors from the prestigious University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria, in 1981. Dr. Adesina holds a master's degree 1985 and a PhD in agricultural economics 1988 from Purdue University, United States of America, where he won the Outstanding PhD Thesis Award for that year. I thought you were going to give him a round of applause. Dr. Adesina was the prestigious Rockefeller Foundation Social Science Fellowship winner in 1988, which launched him into his international career. A bold reformer, a Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria from 2011 to 2015. Dr. Adesina turned the agricultural sector of Nigeria around within 4 years. Under his tenure, Nigeria ended 40 years of corruption in the fertilizer sector by developing and implementing an innovative electronic wallet system which directly provides farmers with subsidized farm inputs at scale using their mobile phones. Within the first 4 years of its launch, this electronic wallet system reached 15 million farmers, dramatically transforming their lives. With Dr. Adesina at the helm, the African Development Bank Group achieved the highest capital increase since its establishment in 1964, when on the 31st of October 2019, shareholders from 80 member countries raised the general capital from $93 billion to a historic $208 billion. The African Development Bank Group responded boldly and swiftly to the COVID-19 pandemic. On 3rd of April 2020, the premier development finance institution launched a landmark $3 billion COVID-19 social bond, followed by a crisis response facility of $10 billion. Dr. Adesina has been recognized with numerous awards. On 19th October 2017, the President was conferred with the World Food Prize, also known as the Nobel Prize for Agriculture. On 29th, if you intend to make that a clap, can we make it a clap for him, please? Thank you so very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on February 2020, he was named African of the Year 2019 by 1 million readers of the Africa Leadership magazine. On 14th December 2020, the Academy of Public Health, the flagship body of West African Institute of Public Health, announced Dr. Adesina as one of the winners of its 2020 Distinguished Fellowship Award for his successful efforts in helping Africa to curb the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is an abridged version of his very intimidating citation. On 2nd February 2022, the President of the African Development Bank Group was conferred an honorary doctorate by the Federal University of Technology here in Nigeria in recognition of his global leadership in agriculture, food security, development finance, and good governance. He is happily married with very lovely, goal-setting children. Please join me in welcoming a very distinguished lecturer for the day. Let's welcome Dr. Akinwumi A. Adesina, President, African Development Bank Group, at this auspicious occasion. That applause can come even louder than that for him. A distinguished guest lecturer, sir.
Thank you very much, MC, for those generous words. Your Excellency, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, represented by Senator George Akume, CEO and Secretary to the Federal Government of the Federation. Your Excellency, Papa General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, former Head of State of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the celebrant today. Your Excellency, the Field Marshal, Mrs. Victoria Gowon, former First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, President Babangida Obasanjo, GCFR, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Architect Namadi Sambo, who was my boss, GCON, former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His Excellency, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Dr. Mohammed Saad Abubakar III, CFR, Chairman of the lecture. And I can tell you, sir, that you are doing an incredible job as the chair, and I think that you use your authorities very, very well, and in fact, you have full diplomatic cover and immunity for all the actions that you've taken. Your Excellency, Umar Aliyu Toure, President of the ECOWAS Commission, thanks for having us, my brother, at your office here. Your Excellency, Executive Governors, Governor Bala Ahmed, my dear brother, we serve together in the government, and other executive governors here and former governors, the former President of the Senate, Bola Saraki, distinguished senators, honorable members, the National Assembly, past and present, honorable ministers, present and past. I see a lot of my colleagues also here today. Our royal fathers, our spiritual fathers, Professor Jerry Ghana, chairman of the National Planning Committee for the events commemorating the 90th birthday of His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon. And Professor, you spoke like a pastor, and I was really waiting for you to collect the offering at the end of what you said. Maybe you'll do that later on. Eminent guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, my very beautiful wife, Grace, Yemisi, is here with me. And I can't do anything without her, so
Change this your shot.
Baba gave her, actually, Baba says that all of my achievements in life, I deserve 45, and he gives her 55. So he always says, she's Yemisi 55, I'm acting 45, but maybe today you give me 46, sir. And the amazing National Youth Corpus. Yes, Corpus. Your father is celebrating today, so you are all excited. It's a great honor to have been asked by His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon and Mrs. Gowon, and invited by the eminent members of the National Planning Committee to deliver the keynote lecture today. I am filled with a very deep sense of appreciation, given the significance of this august occasion. And I'm sincerely humbled by the privilege of being here to celebrate along with friends, families, and fraternal associates from far and wide the 90th birthday of one of Nigeria's greatest statesmen, a revered leader, a father of the nation, His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon. I wish to congratulate His Excellency on his epoch-making 90th birthday. I would also like to extend my congratulations to your ever-beautiful, elegant, poised, wise, never-aging wife, Mommy Victoria Gowon. You're as beautiful as when he married you, actually. And to your dear family that is here with you. General, you remain the youngest person ever to become the head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. At the incredibly young age of 31, responsibility for the affairs of this great nation were thrust upon your shoulders. You married your sweetheart, the radiantly beautiful Victoria Hansatu Zachary. At the age of 34, you were. She was 23. And what a day it was. The image of both of you walking resplendently down the aisle of the Christ Church Cathedral, Lagos, is still etched in the minds of those of us old enough to remember. Permit me to go down the memory lane, General Gowon. And if I might, sir, I think I am a bloody civilian, so I can still do this. My favorite image of you is riding in the royal carriage beside the British monarch, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, during a state visit to the United Kingdom. As you waved to an adoring crowd with your impeccably white gloves, it was an unprecedented reception, and one reserved for exceptional global leaders of that era. The news and the images went viral globally, even though digital and social media did not exist at that time. I knew then that Nigeria was destined for global greatness. It is extremely hard to believe that the young and incredibly handsome military officer with a thin mustache, in fact, General, I want to tell you, sir, I actually started wearing a mustache just because of you. And head of state and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is now 90 years old. Along with all the well-wishers here today and many joining around the world, I salute you, General. Hearty congratulations once again. You are an exemplary Nigerian and African leader. As head of state, your leadership was marked by several firsts. Your visionary leadership led to the creation of the Economic Commission of West African State ECOWAS, where we are today, bringing together all 16 countries in the region for economic and political cooperation. You created the National Youth Service Corps, the NYC. That's right. The only policy decision in the history of Nigeria that has endured all governments. They point out to your remarkable vision and confidence in the youth and Nigeria's unity. I would like the Nigerian NYC that are there, please rise up and take your cap off and salute the general. Thank you. All right. Good, thank you very much. Thank you. As a recognition of the beauty and richness of our cultural diversity, and ahead of the first ever Festival of Arts and Culture, FESTAC, you commenced the construction of the National Theatre, now named by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts. Your fingerprints are still seen in countless lasting infrastructure developments across Nigeria. I can keep listing your endless achievements. The bottom line is that leaders are not to be emulated. Leaders are to be emulated. General Gowon, you are to be emulated. Emulated for your candor and nationalistic fervor. Emulated for your humility and ability to work with everyone. Emulated for your never-ending drive to unify the country. Emulated for your never-failing Nigeria praise. Emulated for always having Nigeria in your heart. The acronym for your name says it all. Go on with one Nigeria. When General Gowon was told he had been overthrown in a military coup, while attending an OAU summit in Kampala, Uganda, he was amazingly calm and collected. He was the embodiment of serene demeanor he was known for as he walked briskly out of the hall. When asked by the reporters what was next, he said in a very few words, one of his standout statements of all time: "Take care of Nigeria for me." What a profound statement to make at the lowest point of one's career. It was crystal clear, even back then, that General Yakubu Gowon has transcended self to focus on others. Nigeria was on his mind and in his heart. The young army officer with the white gloves had grown to become a leader for Nigerians of all ages, a father of the nation. Prior to independence in 1960, our nation's builders had a dream of a Nigeria that will be the shining light of Africa, and indeed the black race. As the Union Jack flag was lowered and the green, white, green flag of the newly born nation Nigeria was raised on October 1st, 1960, the whole world knew that the largest black nation on earth was making its debut. As Nigerians, we are often preoccupied with our differences and tend to think of the geographical delineations of our land. One question we do not ask ourselves enough is, what are we supposed to be? Suddenly, Nigeria, 64 years after independence, should not be a developing country. Nigeria should be a developed nation.
Hassan, can you hear me?
As president of the African Development Bank, as I travel around Africa, one issue that often marks conversations is, when will Nigeria develop? I have listened to several leaders tell me that the rise of Africa depends on the rise of Nigeria. As the largest black nation on earth, we carry within us the hopes and aspirations of our black people in the world. Yearnings that this nation will become a beacon in the world and an inspiration that will elevate the whole continent of Africa. It is therefore time that we start thinking of Nigeria, not in terms of what or where we currently are, or how we currently see ourselves, but rather in terms of the responsibility of history that we must lift all of Africa. When the Gulf region was to develop, it took Saudi Arabia to set the pace. And today, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait, each of those nations have risen to become global giants. When Europe developed, it needed Germany, the United States, and France to grow the continent. Asia had to develop. Faster. History beckons on Nigeria, and we cannot disappoint. So I would like to speak to you today about building a global Nigeria. From the onset, I want to be very clear that I'm not here to criticize any government, past or present, but rather as a citizen, and also as somebody passionate about this land and the continent, to reflect on what we must do collectively to be all that we can be in the global committee of nations, a global Nigeria. Yes, I dream of a better tomorrow for Nigeria. I refuse to believe that Nigeria will falter or fail. I believe that Nigeria will overcome, rise, flourish, and shine. I believe that Nigeria shall be all that it is meant to be. It was Martin Luther King who said, "History has thrust upon me a responsibility which I cannot turn away." Yes, history has thrust on Nigeria a responsibility it cannot turn away. Nigeria must become a global powerhouse. That is our responsibility. A global Nigeria must start with a poverty-free Nigeria. Today, poverty is extremely pervasive in Nigeria. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, in 2022 estimated that 63% of persons living within Nigeria, that's 133 million people at the time, are multidimensionally poor. It also states that over half of the population of Nigeria cook with dung, charcoal, wood, rather than cleaner energy. High deprivations are also apparent nationally in sanitation, healthcare, food security, and housing. Poverty is particularly extreme in rural areas where millions of people have been forgotten and abandoned. The gravity of the situation is even worse in northern Nigeria. The NBS report states further, and I quote, that multidimensional poverty is higher in rural areas where 72% of the people are poor, compared to 42% of people in the urban areas. And as we speak today, 65% of the poor, that's ranges from a low of 27% in Ondo to a high of 91% in Sokoto. These extremely high levels of poverty have fueled criminality, banditry, kidnappings, and armed robbery. A recent survey of the crime economy in Nigeria shows that the Northwest, Northeast, and North Central have been devastated, with kidnappings becoming a default economy. From schools to farms, markets and towns, villages and communities, the level of suffering, helplessness, and abandonment are gutting out hope and drowning communities and people in despair as economic activities plummet. Consequently, the criminal economy is upending the real economy of Nigeria. To address the situation, urgent and comprehensive efforts are needed to restore security and law and order, to protect lives, property, and farmlands, and to restore normalcy to traumatized zones, towns, villages, and communities, to stabilize and restore economic fortunes, education, health, social protection, and jobs for youth programs must be prioritized. Simultaneously, we must decisively tackle and reduce the burgeoning numbers of out-of-school children. A global Nigeria must be a food-secure Nigeria. The World Food Programme estimates that 26.5 million Nigerians currently face acute hunger. This is a situation that's compounded by inflation that has risen to 32.1%. The Nigerian Economic Summit estimates that inflation in Nigeria reached a 28-year high in June of 2024. The current high level of food insecurity and hunger deserves decisive actions. In the first quarter of 2024, Nigeria's food import bill hit a 5-year high at 1.5 trillion naira. Nigeria's food import bill topped 7.8 trillion naira in the past 6 years alone. The African Development Bank Group and partners provided 314 million naira to Nigeria for emergency food production. I think that will have produced at least 4 million metric tons of food if that plan had been followed and implemented as agreed. Securing Nigerians' food supplies requires accelerating local food production, providing farmers with high-yielding seeds, the accessibility and affordability of fertilizers, mechanization, and the rapid expansion of irrigation, given the challenges of climate change. To ensure food security, the federal government, in conjunction with the state governments, should, in my humble opinion, return to the highly successful growth enhancement scheme and the electronic wallet scheme that was put in place when I was your Minister of Agriculture. Both initiatives delivered high-quality seeds and fertilizers to over 15 million farmers, which made food available at relatively low costs across Nigeria. For purposes of implementation, transparency, and accelerated impact, the Growth Enhancement Scheme and the e-wallet scheme should be protected by legislation. To help unleash the potential of the food and agricultural sector, the African Development Bank and its partners are investing right now over $814 million in the development of what's called special agro-industrial processing zones in 8 states of the Federation. Thank you. This will help Nigeria to process and add value to all of its agricultural commodities and establish critically needed platforms for becoming competitive in global agricultural value chains. Decisive and sustained efforts are needed to end insecurity, especially to save vast areas of the food belt of Nigeria in the Northwest, Northeast, and Middle Belt. The deployment of digital surveillance tools, drones, artificial intelligence, and satellite imagery needs to be increasingly used to track and provide intelligence. The development and the deployment of farm protection guards and safe food transport corridors are worth developing. A more secure Nigeria will be a more food secure Nigeria. A global Nigeria must be competitive globally. Nigeria is losing out on the global drive for competitiveness in a world that is rapidly being changed via education, digital skills acquisition, and innovations across all sectors. The Global Competitiveness Index rankings for 2022 show that Nigeria was ranked 114 out of 140 countries globally. And worse, Nigeria ranked well below several African countries, including South Africa, Seychelles, Botswana, and Namibia in Southern Africa, below Senegal and Ghana in West Africa, below Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda in East Africa, and as well below Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia in North Africa. A global Nigeria must invest heavily in education. The ability of any nation to be globally competitive is determined by its human capacity or talent pools. That's why, Your Excellencies, the greatest investment that Nigeria can make is in education, especially higher education. It is worth noting that today, China has over 240 million people with higher education, which is more than the entire population of Nigeria. However, only 7% of Nigeria's population have had access to higher education. This puts Nigeria in an uncompetitive position with developed countries, where the share of the population with higher education is high, including South Korea, 70%, Canada, 67%, Japan, 66%, Ireland, 63%, Luxembourg, 60%, and the United Kingdom, 58%. Nigeria must therefore step up and become an undisputed leader on innovation in Africa and position itself through a massive paradigm-shifting investment in education to catch up and to bridge the talent divide with developed economies and other emerging market economies. A global Nigeria must have globally competitive quality infrastructure. After years of growth, post-independence, industrial development in Nigeria is today constrained by extremely poor state of transport, ports, and logistics infrastructure. Estimates suggest that it costs $35,000 to export 100 tons of produce from Nigeria, compared to just $4,000 from Ghana. About 90% of passengers and freight movements in Nigeria rely on roads, of which only 18% are paved. Meanwhile, our seaports are gridlocked. Recently, the Financial Times reported that the congestion at the port in Lagos has become so bad that it could cost more than $4,000 to truck a container 20 kilometers inland, almost as much as it costs to ship the very same container 12,000 nautical miles all the way from China. Here, Nigeria can learn from Morocco, where the African Development Bank supported the development of the Tangier-Med port. This port is unique. It is an industrial port complex and platform with over 1,100 companies operating from within it. They collectively exported over 8 billion euros worth of goods in 2020. The port is home to several global companies, including Bosch, Daimler, Huawei, Siemens, and several others. Local companies located in the Tangier-Med have also allowed Morocco to move up several global value chains, including automobiles, automotive parts, aeronautics, agriculture. Thank you. Agriculture, food manufacturing, textile, and logistics. Annually, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, over 460,000 cars are manufactured in that zone for exports every year. And more interesting is that the bulk of the workers and employees at the port complex are Moroccans. I decided to take a walk one day at the Tangier-Med port. I saw a well-synchronized maze moving with incredible efficiency. There were no kilometer-long lines of trucks waiting to get in and out of the port. The takeaway from Morocco's Tangier port is simply this: Nigeria must move away from the usual Gestapo-like approaches of raiding ports, or deploying soldiers to decongest ports, or having to control vehicular traffic at the ports. There are more sophisticated and efficient ways of doing so. With a view to creating a global Nigeria, Nigeria's focus should not be on decongesting ports, but on transforming ports. These must start with cleaning up administrative bottlenecks, most of which are completely unnecessary, with multiple government agencies at the ports, high transaction costs, and even blatant extortion from illegal taxes and contributions that never go into government coffers. To strongly support Africa's social and economic growth, the African Development Bank invests heavily in infrastructure. Over the last 8 years alone, we have invested over $55 billion in infrastructure, including roads and highways, transport corridors, seaports, airports, ICT infrastructure, and regional power transmission networks. The African Development Bank has invested $369.2 million in the highway connecting Enugu to Bamenda in Cameroon, a transport corridor that will serve 11 million people. Also, we have invested $49.5 million in the Lekki Toll Road, easing traffic and lowering transport costs. The bank is mobilizing now support for the development of the railway line connecting Kano to Maradi in the Niger Republic. And of significant note, the African Development Bank has provided $12.6 million to my brother, the President of ECOWAS Commission, to support a feasibility study for the Lagos-Abidjan Corridor Highway. As a bank, we and other institutions will help to mobilize the $15 billion necessary to finance that corridor, which carries over 80% of the trade in the region. When completed, the corridor will enhance transport connections from Nigeria to the rest of the West Africa region, with one border post to facilitate intra-regional trade. And just for full disclosure of why this is very important to me, when His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari was president, I came here to see him, and I talked about this particular project. He told me, Akin, if you don't get that project on the way, don't come back to Nigeria. And when I went to Ivory Coast, where I was staying, President Alassane Ouattara looked at me and said, Akin, if you don't get that railway, that corridor done, don't stay in Abidjan. So you can imagine I have my incentives to get it done. But I want to thank the President of ECOWAS for the great work he's doing to get this on the way. A global Nigeria must achieve universal access to electricity. Today, the major challenge facing Nigeria's manufacturing is the very high cost and unreliability of electricity supply. Load shedding and the inconsistent availability of electrical power have resulted in high and uncompetitive manufacturing costs from Nigeria. Most Nigerian manufacturing companies self-provide their own energy, with a high dependence on generators, diesel, and heavy fuel oil. But their emissions contributions make them brown industries, not green industries. And I remember one day I was traveling with my wife from Ibadan to Lagos, and I saw this really weird big advert, and it was all about generators. And they wrote under it, we are the nation's #1 reliable energy supplier. It has been estimated by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, that Nigeria loses about $29 billion annually. $29 billion annually. That is 5.8% of its GDP due to lack of reliable power supply. The report also indicates that Nigerians spend $14 billion per year on generators and fuel. There is no better way to say it. The lack of electricity is killing Nigerian industries. According to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, industries spent $93.1 billion on alternative energy in 2018 when I read that. Today, no business can survive in Nigeria without generators. Consequently, the abnormal has become normal. Nigeria has gas and crude oil in abundance, yet 86 million people live daily without electricity. Today, Nigeria is the #1 country in the world in terms of the total number of people without electricity. To support Nigeria and African countries, other African countries, the African Development Bank invests massively in the continent's power sector. To support the implementation of Nigeria's power sector recovery program, the bank provided $200 million for the Nigerian electrification project, which is designed to fill the country's electricity access gap. We have invested $210 million in the Nigeria transmission project to strengthen the grid power evacuation and regional interconnection. Your Excellencies, a major component of the African Development Bank's energy strategy was the launch of what we call Desert to Power Initiative, a $20 billion initiative to provide electricity to 250 million people across 11 countries of the Sahel, including northern Nigeria. It is expected that the Desert to Power investment will create the world's largest solar zone. This initiative will draw on lessons from successful projects already financed by the bank, including the world's largest concentrated solar power plant called the New Ouarzazate Power Project in Morocco and the Bembang Solar Project in Egypt. To support the efforts of African countries to achieve universal access to electricity, the president of the World Bank Group, my friend Ajay Banga, and I made a decision at a spring meeting of the World Bank in April that the World Bank and the African Development Bank together, we will connect 300 million people, Africans, including Nigerians, to electricity by 2030. And that's what's called the Mission 300. It's the largest such effort in the world. A global Nigeria must be an industrialized Nigeria. For decades, the share of manufacturing in Nigeria's GDP has hovered around 7%, as the nation has not been able to extricate itself from a comatose industrial manufacturing sector that is yet to unleash the fullness of its innovative potential. This is in sharp contrast to the dynamic and rapid performance of manufacturing in Asian countries, such as Singapore, Malaysia, and China. While Asian countries are focused on export of manufactured products, Nigeria's approach has been on import substitution. The manufacturing sector of Nigeria represents only 3% of total revenues from exports, but accounts for 50% of the imports into the country. Instead of being forward-looking in expanding the share of manufactured goods in total export revenue, Nigeria focuses on the model of import substitution. Import substitution, while important, is a very restrictive vision. It looks towards survival instead of looking to create wealth through greater export markets and value diversification. The result is a manufacturing sector that cannot nor compete globally or limit itself to survival mode and not a global manufacturing growth mode. Nigeria must have greater ambitions for its manufacturing sector by integrating and rapidly moving up global and regional value chains in areas of comparative advantage, by driving greater specialization and competitiveness, and by heavily investing in skill upgrades and human capacity development. The bottom line is that a well-developed and policy-enabled manufacturing sector with an export-oriented focus will spur greater innovation, develop our export market potential, and structurally transform the economy. Instead of being consumed with conservation of foreign exchange, the focus will shift to rapidly expanding foreign exchange through enhanced export value diversification. The $20 billion Dangote refinery, the largest single train refinery in the world, with a capacity to produce 650,000 barrels of refined petroleum products per day, is nothing short of a technological marvel. And it tells you what Nigerians can do. I am proud of Aliko Dangote. I went there myself, and I said to myself, if a person can do this one in Nigeria, just imagine if you have so many of this in Nigeria, what we will be. This refinery will reduce Nigeria's dependence on others, secure national food supplies, reduce foreign exchange expenditure, lower fuel prices, and hopefully create millions of jobs in the country. Nigeria needs more industrial global launching pads like the Dangote refinery. As head of state, General Gowon's National Development Plan was a masterpiece. With industrialization as a pivotal priority, which spurred successive governments. Beginning in the early 1970s, Nigeria instituted an industrial policy to support automobile assembly plants. How proud we were to ride made in Nigeria Peugeots and Volkswagens. Well, God was good, wasn't it? Consumer demand was fueled by auto loans by commercial banks. General Olusegun Obasanjo, as head of state in 1976, made it mandatory for government officials across the board to ride made in Nigeria cars. As the head of state himself and governors drove made in Nigeria vehicles, there was an initial surge in the assembly of cars with high local demand for locally made vehicles. Unfortunately, this was not sustained. If Nigeria had sustained this drive, it would have become the lead exporter of vehicles in Africa and to the rest of the world, exactly what South Africa has done and become today. Today, Nigeria prides itself as a demand center for vehicles made by others, wasting resources that it should put into building and supporting a strong local automotive industry. The emergence of Innoson Automobile, an indigenous Nigerian company based in Inewi, Anambra State, is to be highly applauded. I am proud of Innoson. Today, Innoson's fleet includes several options, including fuel and electric vehicles, and military-grade armored vehicles, which it now exports. I think you should clap for him. But it would make more than one company, it would take more than one company to build an industry. The advantages for a sound local automobile industry will be massive. Massive. Research, technology, and innovation. Highly skilled engineers and labor force. Small and medium-sized businesses supplying the automobile value chains. Savings from exports, imports, and so on. With the size of its population and markets, Nigeria should pursue vigorously joint ventures to establish major auto manufacturing industries in this country. An industrialized Nigeria will be a wealthy and prosperous Nigeria. A nation that should inspire Nigeria to be all it can be is Korea. Korea does not import to consume. It imports what it uses to drive its industrialization. Korea has no steel, so it imports steel and uses it to become the world's largest builder, an exporter of cargo and passenger ships. Korea has no oil or natural gas. It relies on the import of crude oil and gas. It uses that gas to power its economy and to drive industries. Korea has leveraged the import of electric machinery to become one of the largest exporters of cars in the world. Korea's major car companies, manufacturers, from Hyundai to Kia to Renault Korea, Daewoo, and so on, exported 2.8 million cars in 2023 to 198 countries. In the first quarter of 2024, Korea exported $37 billion worth of cars. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, that is 67% of Nigeria's crude oil export per year, all in just one quarter. As a result, Korea is an industrialized economy and one of the largest exporters in the world. It exports in 2023 were $623 billion. Nigeria's import is for consumption, not for industrialization. Nigeria's export in 2023 was a mere $57 billion, of which crude oil accounts for $52 billion. Paradoxically, for decades, Nigeria has exported crude oil and imported petrol and finished petroleum products. The resultant impact on the economic divergence is stark. Poverty, take it for example. Just 2% of Koreans live in poverty. And yet today, the number of Nigerians living in poverty is 88.4 million people, or 40% of the population. That is 1.69 times the population of Korea. And what about per capita income? The per capita income of Korea is $34,164 per person. The per capita income of Nigeria, by contrast, is $1,109 per person. Today, Korea is the 10th largest donor country in the world. A global Nigeria must therefore move into high-valued manufacturing. Take the example of Vietnam, a nation that was at war with the United States for 20 years. Despite setbacks and post-war challenges, it quickly emerged as an Asian tiger by mimicking the successful Asian countries, such as South Korea. It pushed into relatively complex product categories and horizontal diversification that also included processing of agricultural products. Vietnam's diversified exports in 2020 included $153 billion of electrical machinery and equipment, $23.9 billion of machinery including computers, $23.4 billion of footwear, and $15.5 billion of clothing, accessories, among others. In total, Vietnam's exports in 2020 stood at $348 billion. Malaysia achieved vertical diversification from an agricultural base of rubber and palm oil, which it got from here. It will later go on to invest heavily in high-tech sectors, including electronics. In 2020, its largest exports by value were in semiconductors, electrical integrated circuits, refined petroleum products, palm oil, vulcanized rubber and accessories, and solar power diodes. The value of Malaysia's export in 2020 derived from the following: electrical machinery and equipment, $88.6 billion. Mineral fuels, including oil, $25.5 billion. Machinery, including computers, $20.2 billion. Animal, vegetable exports and waxes, $13.5 billion. Rubber and rubber articles, $11.2 billion, among others. In total, Malaysia's export in 2022 was valued at $234 billion US. By contrast, Nigeria's exports in 2020 were dominated by mineral fuels, including oil, valued at $29.7 billion only, which accounts for 89% of the exports. Nigeria's total export value was a mere $33.5 billion. That dollar amount represents a minus 3.6% decrease since 2016 and a drop of minus 37.5% in 2019 and 2020. Interestingly, Nigeria's imports were dominated by machinery, including computers, mineral fuels, including oil, vehicles, electrical machinery, equipment, pharmaceutical, and plastics. By contrast, most of these imports are what Vietnam and Malaysia export in abundance. And worse, Nigeria imports mineral fuels, which it should be producing, as a leading crude oil exporting nation. It exports crude, that looks like an export I'm just doing over there. It exports crude, it imports refined products, a befuddling irony. So what is my message in all of what I've said here? While Nigeria's export basket has hardly changed, Malaysia and Vietnam have used aggressive horizontal and vertical industrial manufacturing diversification to move from low-valued products to high-valued market products. The result is self-evident in the comparative wealth of the three countries. While export value per capita is $7,100 for Malaysia and $3,600 for Vietnam, it is only $160 for Nigeria. While Malaysia and Vietnam have moved to global manufacturing growth and creating massive wealth and jobs for themselves, Nigeria remains in a survival mode, still unable to substitute the imports of its petroleum products, while being one of the largest exporters of crude oil. Nigeria has had good policies, templates and programs for industrialization and expanding industrial manufacturing for decades. Nigeria's first national development plan emphasized industrialization. There was a national economic empowerment development strategy, NEEDS, in the 1990s, and the Nigerian Industrial Revolution Plan, NIRP, in 2015. These were all good policies. But there is need to close the gap between policy ideas and implementation. Today, Your Excellencies, capacity utilization of factories hovers around 40% compared to desired 70%. The reality, in view of the several challenges facing the industrial manufacturing sector, is that firms are moving to neighboring countries where there is greater macroeconomic stability, enabling environments, and a much easier ease of doing business. To be a manufacturer in Nigeria is not an easy business. You succeed not because of the ease of doing business, but by surmounting several constraints that limit industrial manufacturing. Your Excellencies, a global Nigeria must deliver a talent dividend. The rate and speed at which Nigerians are leaving the country, the so-called Japa syndrome, risk undermining Nigeria's economic drive for economic rejuvenation and positioning for global dominance. Nigeria's best talents, including doctors and nurses and lawyers and engineers, architects and computer programmers, artists and cultural entrepreneurs, sport athletes, and even bankers, are voting with their feet and leaving Nigeria in droves due to economic hardships, high unemployment, a corrosive rate of inflation that daily eats away the value of their assets, insecurity, and a palpable decline in their quality of life. PricewaterhouseCoopers estimates that the exodus of Nigerian talents will lead to a loss of close to $5 billion annually in this country. Yet, this is happening against the backdrop of rapid growth in artificial intelligence that holds enormous opportunities for shaping and transforming the world economy. In a recent analysis, PwC estimated that artificial intelligence will add $116 trillion to the global economy by 2030, and $316 billion annually to the economies of just 4 African countries: Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Ghana by 2030. Nigeria is well poised to take advantage of this opportunity, with the nation being one of the leaders in the fintech industry, and companies such as Flutterwave, PalmPay, NTA Mobile Money, PiggyVest, ranking among the top 250 fintech companies globally. And I think we should clap for these young guys. Nigeria also has 5 out of the top 7 unicorn fintech companies in Africa. Just to be clear, for those that don't know what a unicorn is, that's when the capitalization of a company reaches $1 billion and above. So when you have young Nigerians, 5 out of 7, with companies doing that, that tells you the potential that we have to take over the world. Today we have InterSwitch, Flutterwave, Opay, and Andela demonstrating the ingenuity and the entrepreneurial capacity of Nigerians to lead, to innovate, and to dominate the competitive industry of the fintech. That is why, Your Excellencies, the African Development Bank, along with partners, is investing $614 million in Nigeria in what is called an iDice program. This bold initiative is designed to develop digital and creative enterprises, which will add $6 billion to Nigeria's GDP and create 6.4 million jobs. The African Development Bank is also supporting a center of excellence in computer coding in Nigeria as part of our larger effort in Africa to develop 130 other centers that will develop the next generation of computer coders for artificial intelligence-driven economy that is already here. However, the Japa syndrome risks unraveling Nigeria's capacities in these fields unless urgent actions are taken to stem the tide. In 2022, a survey by Tech Cabal says 47% of the tech professionals in Nigeria indicated a desire to leave the country by 2024. There is no doubt that this will seriously hamper Nigeria's technological capacity to innovate, its readiness index for the 4th industrial revolution, and its ability to move into higher-end industries such as electronics, semiconductors, the development of appliances and machineries, and of course, space exploration. We must fix the reasons for the massive exodus of Nigeria's young and innovative talent. This requires a stable macroeconomic environment, strong infrastructure, more attractive salaries, state-of-the-art facilities, and technology hubs, support innovation and entrepreneurship, enhance talent absorptive capacities by industries, and fiscal incentives. We must do this with our eyes fixated on what we can potentially be, not just in West Africa, not just in Africa, but in the world. We must decisively harness and turn Nigeria's demographic asset into a talent dividend. We must become a global Nigeria, brimming with talent, skills, and entrepreneurship capacity, that is powered by clear and strong and consistent and sustainable government policies to become globally competitive. To become globally competitive and to retain our young talents if we are to drive growth and competitiveness globally. I know many people may think that getting Nigerians out of here, I'm not against immigration. Don't get me wrong. But I don't believe that the future of Nigerians' youth or that of Africa's youth lies in Europe, America, China, or anywhere else. It lies in a Nigeria growing very well with equitable growth, and Africa doing the same, able to create quality jobs for its own young people. And there is no doubt in my mind that we can do that. A global Nigeria will turn Japa, we are living, into Japada, we are back. To get there, I have some good news. I'm delighted to announce here today that just 3 days ago, the African Development Bank's Board of Directors approved $100 million for the establishment of the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank for Nigeria. This new bank will support the businesses of the youth in Nigeria using technical assistance, business incubation, and invest equity, quasi-equity, and debt in these businesses, as well as deploy guarantee instruments to de-risk the lending to all this by all financial institutions in Nigeria. It will be a new day and a new dawn for Nigeria, and I want to congratulate the President and the team for that. Minister Wale Edun has worked exceptionally hard with us on this, and our Secretary to the Federal Government, please kindly thank him on my behalf. Your Excellencies, as I bring this to a close, while we have several challenges, the opportunities before us are immense. Our challenges are nothing more than hurdles that we can and we must surmount in our race to transform Nigeria from a developing nation into a developed and well-respected nation. The French poet and novelist Victor Hugo said, "Nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come." It is time for a global Nigeria. Nelson Mandela said, "It always seems impossible until it is done." It is time to look beyond our challenges and decisively seize the moment. When others doubt us, we must never doubt ourselves. United, focused, and determined, we must create a new and brighter future for Nigeria, a global Nigeria. For the time has come for Nigeria to arise and shine. Yes, in the words of Isaiah chapter 30, verse 3, "Arise and shine, for your light has come. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising." Indeed, the labors of our heroes past will never be in vain. And as a people, we will proudly serve our sovereign motherland. I am optimistic about a global Nigeria. It is well within our collective reach and our collective capacities to make it happen. As we celebrate General Gowon's 98th birthday and Nigeria's 64th birthday, let us in unison commit to achieving a global Nigeria. Oh, our dear nation, Nigeria, as a nation born in hope, sustained by hope, destined for greatness, you will fulfill your promise. Through storms and raging winds, your anchor will hold firm. guiding us towards a glorious future. We will safeguard your light, no matter how it flickers, for your enduring flame will never be dimmed. God bless you all, our dear nation, our homeland, Nigeria. Let us go on, as Gowon says, with one Nigeria. Congratulations and happy 90th birthday, General Yakubu Gowon. May God bless and continue to keep you. May God bless our beloved nation and help us to become a prosperous, shining light, a truly global Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, please be seated. Thank you very much. Today, we listened to a passionate Nigerian deliver the keynote at the 90th birthday anniversary lecture on this 18th day of our Lord 2024. Because I am not perfect in doing what it takes to give a bosa, I call on our coppers in the house to do the honors. Let's go. 3 bosas. I can't hear you. Dr. Adeshino, that was for you. We need a global Nigeria, a nation that must stand tall so that Africa can follow. For Africa to move fast, Nigeria has to be in a hurry. We need a Nigeria that understands what time it is. We need to step up to become an undisputed leader. A prayer, advisory, and a keynote address. An academic of no mean repute, a man of excellent erudition, a development economic expert, and an agricultural economist par excellence, a passionate Nigerian, an international technocrat, trenchant and cerebral, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the Africa Development Bank, a gift from Nigeria to the world. Congratulations, sir. And of course, why not? Our celebrant took a PhD in political science from the University of Warwick. Therefore, he decided that a man such as this should deliver the keynote at his 90th birthday anniversary lecture. Let's give another hand to our keynote speaker. I would like to especially celebrate the woman who makes it all happen at the home front and in her own area of expertise by ensuring that Dr. Akinwumi Adesina remains so ever young, Mrs. Grace Adesina. Thank you for giving him peace of mind to deliver this kind of powerful lecture. We thank you. And as we continue, we know we have a couple of goodwill messages that would come. I would like, first of all, to place on record our chairman, planning committee, Professor Jerry Ghana, a leader par excellence, along with all other members of the planning committee. Wherever you are, please wave. And Professor Jerry Ghana is here behind me. Sir, you need to step up so that we can see you. I'm standing here. Please, sir. We need to see our planning committee members who have spent sleepless nights. Here is our chairperson, And here are other members behind me. Where is Dr. Mary and all other planning committee members? Your Excellencies, these are the people who have made it possible and the opportunity to serve. We thank you. At this point, I would like to recognize Barewa Old Boys Association. Where are they? Please clap wherever you are, Barewa people. Serving and former permanent secretaries in the House, we thank you, sirs, for being here. We appreciate all of you. Dr. Umaru Mutala, a financial colossus, is in the house. Where are you, sir? We're very pleased to have you join us today. And I would like to welcome and greet Arewa Consultative Forum, Alhaji Bashir Dalhatu, Wazir Ndutse, former minister, chair, board of trustees. Where are you, sir? And all other members of the Arewa Consultative Forum. We're live on NTA channels, Arise, FRCN, YouTube. We thank all our media partners. It's time now for me to immediately invite to the podium my colleague, the man I like to call the voice, Mr. Andy Gabriel.
Thank you. I have the opportunity of having a word with the chairman of the occasion a little while ago, and he has directed that we need to speed up the process. And in doing that, Mr. Chairman, kindly indulge me for 2 minutes, because I just want to run through the list of these distinguished guests who have come all the way from outside of Abuja to grace this auspicious occasion. I recognize Your Royal Majesty Kabiyesi Dr. Adetayo Hastrop Olumobi of Imobi, Ijesha Kingdom, Osun State. Kabiyesi, we welcome you. We also recognize the presence of His Excellency Distinguished Senator Ojus Okalu, Your Excellency Distinguished Senator Simon Bakola Long, former Governor of Plateau State, Your Excellency Distinguished Senator Jonah Jang, former Governor of Plateau State, Reverend Dr. Ayuba Bagat, ECWA President, Alhaji Nasiru Dano, CEO Kasaba Oil and Gas, AVM Edward Gapwet. We also recognize Your Excellency Senator Abdulaziz Yari, former Governor of Zamfara State, and of course Senator Tijani, and of course His Excellency Obong Victor Atta, former Governor of Akwa Ibom State. We welcome you. Please give all of them a deserving round of applause. Moving on very quickly, I'd recognize the presence of, again, the Guru, General IBM Haruna. Please, a round of applause for him as well. Thank you very much. We're going to put paid to the recognitions as I recognize the presence of Right Reverend Michael Akinwale, Archbishop of the Methodist Church, Abuja. We welcome you. Moving on very quickly, Your Excellencies, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to bring to the stage 2 cultural troupes for just 3 minutes each. The first is a cultural troupe from Benue State of Nigeria. The Tiv cultural troupe, very rich, their attires and everything. And the second one will be the NYSC troupe, Benue State cultural troupe. Please, let's have you very quickly. You have 3 minutes only. I don't want a situation where you come here and do more than 3 minutes. Mr. SGF, don't take it personal. He's only one, he's a Tiv man who doesn't have an accent, so you can't even place where he's from. Please put your hands together for the SGF, standing in for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at this point. 3 minutes, and then followed by the NYSA cultural troupe.
Thank you. This will be
respect to the SGF and the celebrant. Thank you very much. Thank you. The NYSC Cultural Troupe is next, and the only troupe made up of graduates. And there is no cultural troupe in Africa that is strictly made up of graduates as this one. Feel free to request for their services if you need them, please. And you have just 3 minutes, NYSC Cultural Troupe. Can we please give them another round of applause? NYSC. Very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just as they bring that performance to a close, I'd like to mention that whilst His Excellency Senator Jonah Jang was military governor of Benue, was when the Benue State Council for Arts and Culture was formed. Please applaud him for us one more time. Engineer Buba Galadima is here. We welcome you. The representative of the Emir of Katsina, Dr. Tukur Bello Ingawa, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Andy. And what a nation we have, where you see Nigerians at any airport, you know they are the ones. We have a particular personal swag to us that makes us Nigerians. It's beautiful to watch. Our clothes, our culture, our food, one in town every time. A round of applause for Nigeria as a nation. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to quickly run through this list that I have. Alhaji Bashir Dalhatu, former Minister, Chair, Board of Trustees, Arewa Consultative Forum, Mama Mike Usman, SAN, Chairman, ACF, Ambassador Ibrahim Melsule, Vice Chairman, BOT, Mutala Aliyu, Matawale Ngombe, former Minister, Alhaji Nasiru Dano, Sadaunan Lutse, Sumna Shagari Sambo, and Saadatu Abdullahi. Let's give them a round of applause. We thank you for joining us. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed celebrant, sir, the chairman of this occasion would like to quickly now invite former Senate President of the Nigerian Senate, former President of the Senate of the Nigerian Senate, former Governor of Kwara State, the very distinguished Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki, CON. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, our father celebrant, former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, and our mother, former First Lady, former President President Obasanjo, the chairman of the occasion, Your Eminence Abubakar III, our guest speaker, his lovely wife, President of the ECOWAS Commission here, Excellency Vice President Sambo, Royal Fathers President, let me stand the existing protocol. It gives me personally a great honor for me to be here, to be invited to make a goodwill message in part of the celebration of our great father. I remember for me, in those many years ago, as a young boy, who my only closeness to the celebrant today was being invited to children's party in Dodam Barracks many years ago, when I was still much younger in shorts and shirts. To have this occasion here to celebrate you, what you have done for this great country, I congratulate you, sir. I congratulate you. As we congratulate you, we thank the Almighty God for protecting you. We of our generation continue to be indebted to you for your wisdom, courage, and your commitment to the united Nigeria and the oneness of this country. It is our foundation that you've laid that has made it possible for this country to be able to stay together at these trying times. As President Obasanjo said, it is not your celebration. It's a celebration of our great nation for a great man, what you've been able to do. We continue to believe and live by what you've left behind and what you continuously as the President of this country, to do our best, as the great speaker said, and make Nigeria as great as it should be. But today is for us to celebrate you. Thank you, sir, for what you've done for this country. Thank you for the sacrifice you made for this country. And thank you for the humility that you've done and you've had for this country. But as you look so young, you need to tell us what it is so that we can continue. As part of the thing we're going to export, maybe something we can export from Plateau to the world. But more importantly, maybe thank our mother who brought grace and finesse and style way back in those days to the kind of Christmas parties and parties you used to have, end-of-year parties. You're still looking as graceful as ever. I thank God for your lives. Thank you so much. We thank you on behalf of our generation for what you've done for this country. God bless. Congratulations.
His Excellency, the former President of the Senate, the very distinguished Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. And right about now, we are not following any order of protocol. We've just received the message from His Excellency, the former President of the country, President Ibrahim Babangida. His Excellency is now queued to speak. Media, if you are ready, so are we.
Well, first of all, to pray for him and to say that he is the best example of what we used to say, old soldier never die. So I will continue to pray for him because I have always considered myself part of his. I have lived with his brothers very closely, and I worked with some of his brothers too. So I have always considered myself as part of his family. He is a decent man, I must say. Very, very decent indeed. Free from disruptive influences. I think his ability to keep this country one, that is the greatest thing that General Gowon has done for this country. Oh, we still have a lot to learn from General Gowon. His commitment to this country, his commitment to the development of this country, and he was a decent man. And I will advise the younger generation to study General Gowon and read about him, read about his life and so on. And maybe you can start building it from there. He handled the affairs of this country at a reasonably young age. So if he was able to do it well, they should copy him, emulate him, so that they could do what he has done for the country. And the only way to do it was to study him, to study his life, to study his works, to study what he did even as a military officer.
To endure one winter alone is not an easy journey. And to endure 90 winters.
Excellencies, members of the High Table, we apologize for that. We would be bringing back President Goodluck Jonathan any moment now, and we'll be asking media to please stay queued because we do have a message from him. Mr. Chairman, apologies for that. It will be coming. At this point in time, I would like to quickly invite to the podium His Excellency, former Governor of Bauchi State, Governor Ahmed Muazu. Again, it's a long walk. Help me encourage His Excellency as he makes his way. Thank you very much. You have to come down first. Thank you very much. Please come through. Watch your head. His Excellency, former Governor of Bauchi State.
Your Excellency, our father, my father, our leader and leader of modern Nigeria, the celebrant, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, and his very loyal, committed, and adorable wife, our mama. The new title of Lieutenant General fits you well. Yeah? Field Marshal. I thought it's Lieutenant General. Okay, Field Marshal. And our very distinguished leaders on the High Table, particularly our leader, President President Obasanjo, and distinguished members of the high table, distinguished invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you with absolute thanks, gratitude, and humility to talk on someone who is definitely a father to me and a father to most of us here. And indeed, we are celebrating him in a big way this year. To celebrate his 90th birthday, it gives me a great pleasure. I remember 20 years ago when we mooted the idea of celebrating his 70th birthday. Professor Iliago and I and a few of us decided that we want to do that. And who do we get as chairman, guidance, advisor? Of course, no other person than Mama Victoria Gowon. We consulted her, we begged her, and she agreed that she should be celebrated, and we also agreed that it should be mute. General Gowon and any of his talkative associates should not know. And as a result of that, we kept it a very close heart secret to our hearts. And Madame was exceptionally cooperative with us. She gave us all the guidance, gave us all that we needed, and we did a very successful celebration 20 years ago. Why I am mentioning this differs from the one we did. This is very public. General Gowon knew, his wife knew, of course, he's still the commander-in-chief of guiding the committee that I also am a member this year. And I pray, and I want to tell you that she has been the guiding angel for all the committee work. She's been so good to all of us and cooperative, and we want to thank God for that. General, you are young enough for me to be born 2 years after you finish your secondary school. And here I am with a bald head. Here am I, one-time governor. Here am I with more gray hair than anything. It tells you a lot. For you being what you are, we thank God. Because you are an embodiment of everything that is good. You are an excellent human being. You are an embodiment of humility, embodiment of leadership, embodiment of patriotism for one Nigeria, embodiment for everything that stands good for us and for the future of this country. I will tell you one little story before I go, as little I am. When I was conversing with General Gowon one day, he told me there is a landline in his office called hotline. Very selected few people had it. One of the people that had it was the governor of Central Bank. And he called, it kept on ringing, so he picked it up. I think, if I remember, his name was Clement Isom. He said to me, the man said, "I want to see you, sir." He said, "What for?" He said, "Nigeria has too much money." Now, why I'm telling you this, if only we continued where he stopped, we wouldn't be borrowing. We wouldn't be where we are. Therefore, those of you who aspire to be leaders, I beg you to do the best you can to ensure that you sacrifice yourself to do what is best for the people you governed. Your Excellency, on behalf of myself, my family, and those that stand with me, may the Almighty God, in His infinite mercy, to continue to let you grow from strength to strength. May He allow us, as He did 20 years ago, to celebrate 90 years today, 90th birthday. I pray that by the grace of the Almighty Allah, we will gather here to celebrate your 100th birthday. Thank you. God bless you, and God continue to be with you, sir.
Thank you very much. Would like to make it very businesslike with the rest of the goodwills that will be coming. But very quickly, I'd like to recognize Senator Gia. Thank you, distinguished Senator Gia. Thank you for coming. Bob Marley once said, the biggest man I ever saw was when he was a boy, unquote. When we were kids and we hear of these great men that have served this country meritoriously, we never ever believed we'll ever stand close to them. And here we are. So please salute God for these noble men and women. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. And so moving on very quickly, the next goodwill is coming from a man who is known for saying, and I quote, "My ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian." Please let's welcome on tape President Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR.
To endure one winter alone is not an easy journey. And to endure 90 winters is something you can only imagine. So we wish General Yakubu Gowon well. And people of my age and above, when the name Gowon is mentioned, what will come to mind is the Civil War. Then I was in primary school, I think primary 5 or so. He was a very young officer, military officer, in his early 30s, 32, 33. And at that age, he led Nigeria through a civil war. It is when a leader has challenges, when you lead a country or a group of people during challenges, that is when you know the worth of a good leader. General Gowon showed clearly that his vision and focus was the unity of Nigeria. His vision and focus was the peace of this country. And he had demonstrated that very, very clearly. And that is why, even after dropping the rifle and bayonet, he picked the Holy Book, the Bible, and continued to advocate for the unity of Nigeria and the peace of Nigeria through his NGO, Nigerian Pray. So you see, he's a man that totally committed to peace. And that is why any day you see Gowon, you see a peaceful man. As a leader, you see that he wants the best for his people. He feels the pains of his people and was committed to do what is right for his people. You can describe him as a peace ambassador by excellence. So on such a day, so many people will say so many things about Gowon. As a primary school people, when Gowon was head of state, I never imagined myself and Gowon would sit together to even have conversation. But whenever we are in Council of State meeting, I listen to him, I'm proud of him, and I learned a lot from him. He's inspired us to do what we continue to do. Congratulations, Your Excellency, General Yakubu Gowon.
Clapping is a sign of good health. You can do better with that round of applause for the former President, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And now it is my honor and privilege to recognize the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Lola Adejon. Thank you for joining us here. As I pave way at this point for the former President's NLC, former Governor Edo State, a serving Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and as I'm introducing him, I know he knows himself already, and he's making his way here. And I'm also under very strict instructions from the chairman and by the chairman of this occasion to allot 2 minutes to His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Adams Aliyu Oshomole. Please a round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, our father, the father of United Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, and of course, our mother who has nursed you up to 90, and she will continue to nurse you, Field Marshal Victoria Gowon. We've been advised not to repeat protocols, but you will understand why I cannot but mention a former president, President Olusegun Kikeola Aremu Obasanjo. Because if I don't do that, the former president will think that Oshobole is planning to go on strike. But sir, for me, it's a mixed feeling. I told the guy when he told me I was going to say something, I said, first, this podium is not designed for people like me. Because those who are there can't even see me. And I said, what will I say on the occasion of our father's birthday, looking at the people around? I was in a small village that is not on Nigeria map. And I listened, not to radio, but those who listened tell us, under the tree, that the head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, is going to make a speech, usually on first day of January. There will be budget, which are also effectively decreed into law, and we'll ask, is there any provision for salary increase and stuff like that? And the voice that I recollect is still the same voice of our father at 90. Like the bishop said, or Cardinal said, only very few people, exceptionally blessed by God, will attain 90 feet without walking stick and even sitting with their wife. So your reward is not just in heaven for what you have done for our great country. God has already blessed you with longevity, good health, and peace of mind with your family. When I was a worker, and I think on this occasion, I must thank you on behalf of those who were workers then. We were beneficiaries of Udoji Award, where you said, you cannot accept that public sector worker will be so underpaid that the only way they can ride the car is to steal. So you not only adjusted wages, you paid 1 year arrears. And I remember even Fela the musician said, Mo tigba Udoji, mo ge pomo mo ode. He had received Udoji Award, he no longer eat pomo, although the big men are taking pomo now from the table of the poor. So sir, you touch many lives that you will never be able to recollect, but those who benefited, I'm sure they will never forget you in a hurry. When I was privileged to govern in this state, I had the honor of inviting Your Excellency to commission some projects. My wife and I were not sure when I told her who you were, but when you arrived Benin, that for me, I felt so fulfilled, that the village boy can invite a former Nigeria head of state. For all that I have spoken, President Obasanjo did make the point that most of us here may not know anything about you where you were in the military, not to talk about where you were in government. But I had opportunity of asking a former general who later became a president of Nigeria. And he said to me, as a young officer, in the Nigeria most challenging period which President Goodwill Jonathan referred to, that when they want to go on the offensive, you will say, please remember, this is a family affair. We must not spill blood. We must remember that the objective is to keep Nigeria warm. And he said, for some of them who were hawks, they said, General Gowon should be a Catholic priest and not a military officer, because he doesn't like any life be wasted. So, sir, you've done much more to keep Nigeria one. And since you left office, if we are going to talk of a man who can be said to be a true father, not involved in any controversy, not bereft of ideas, but you know where to channel those ideas. That man living today is General Yakubu Gowon. And let me report to you, sir, since President Obasanjo reported somebody to you, let me copy him and report to you that even the NYSC is under threat. That vision that people must be posted outside their state of origin is almost being lost. And I believe that on this occasion, the management of NYSC will be obliged to revisit that law that set up, in my view, the most important legacy project of your governance. And lastly, to the guest speaker, you are extremely eloquent, brilliant, and a true son of Africa. The only thing I found missing is that the ideological underpinning which has led us to where we are, you escaped it. I think we must revisit it. How did Volkswagen relocated out of Nigeria? How did Peugeot Automobile relocated out of Nigeria? How did Michelin relocated out of Nigeria? How did Dunlop relocated out of Nigeria? And yet Nigeria become their key marketplace. That is arising, in my view, from reckless submission to Western commitment to free market. A market cannot be there if you only buy and you don't have anything to sell. May we have the wisdom to have a balanced ideological foundation for the sustainable growth and development of Nigeria. General Gowon, you deserve celebration. May God bless you, bless your wife, bless all of us that you have touched one way or the other. And I'm very proud to say I am a Nigerian, and General Gowon was once our military head of state. God bless you.
Thank you very much. We have actually been told that Goodwill messages coming to an end at this point, but we end it with more of a prayer from a pastor. Please let's welcome Pastor Adefarasi. Please, Pastor Adefarasi is on tape. Can we have that very quickly? 2 minutes and we're done with that. Thank you very much.
Yakubu Gowon retired, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, second military head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces of our beloved country. On behalf of my immediate family and the entire Adefarasi clan, I am honored to wish you a very happy 90th birthday. With my Gowon Pastor Wale's permission, together we acknowledge your impact and express our gratitude for the difference that you have made in our lives and those of countless other Nigerians. As we celebrate your 90th birthday and reflect on your legendary legacy and life, marked by integrity, honor, and purpose, we recognize the man who kept his promises. I thank you for the experience in my formative years, often spending time at your home and office in Dodon Barracks, where as a young boy, I witnessed up close and personal the meekness with which you led in federal authority. The experience has profoundly shaped my sense of mission in respectfully, with gentile, speaking truth to power, as our roles as clergymen often dispose us to amplify the voices of Nigerians as representatives of their pain, their plight, and often their aspirations for a better and equitable life. I fondly remember your humble approach to power, visiting friends, leaders, and cabinet members at our homes on Thompson Avenue in your Volkswagen Beetle, unaccompanied by aides and security personnel. This demystified power completely and made us feel very special. I cherish the memories of your approachability, even amidst the pomp and ceremony of the beautiful parades, as we also trooped the color at our Independence Day celebrations at the Tafawa Balewa Square here in Lagos. Thank you for consistently corresponding and being a true friend to my late parents, for which we are greatly proud. Dear Uncle Jack, your tenure as head of state brought peace, delivered prosperity, and brought progress to Nigeria. You assembled a team of some of the most brilliant minds our country had, the super permsecs, and led them amongst others with vision and wisdom as a listening leader. Your endeavors in reconciliation, national reconstruction, and rehabilitation in the aftermath of the Civil War were truly instrumental in healing our nation. I cherish the memory of serving Your Excellency and my dear Auntie Victoria in the prestigious stewardship role of ring bearer at your wedding. I still feel very honored to have been part of such a significant moment, bearing the tokens of your matrimonial union, which has endured through thick and thin, through civil war and national unity, these many 55 years. Your Excellency, your calm and steady hand has guided us through many challenges. Nigeria is grateful for you and hopes to benefit from your wisdom for many years to come. May God Almighty bless you, your precious wife, Auntie Victoria, your children, your grandchildren, and the entire Gowon clan. May the mighty hand of the Almighty God rest upon you with grace and peace always. And may He give you all of your heart's desire for your generations to come. This is Paul for the Adefarasi family.
Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represented today by His Excellency, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, distinguished Senator George Akume, would like to thank you, sir, for your patience and your candor. Would like at this moment also to celebrate Mr. Chair, who has been guiding us from the rear. We thank you, Your Eminence. Would like to salute all members of the High Table. It is at this point, Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my singular honor and pleasure to invite His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented today by His Excellency the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, distinguished Senator George Akume, to come forward and deliver.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arts Council. Your Excellency, former Head of State, Father General Yakubu Gowon, accompanied by her dear mother, Lady Victoria Gowon, former President President Obasanjo, Chairman of this occasion, His Eminence, the Sultan, distinguished leaders, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here as a representative of the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, would have loved to be here, but is outside the country to the working leave. Your Excellency, the former President and celebrant, if you go through the program, the President is not expected to make a statement today. The President Day is tomorrow. A very beautiful statement has been crafted to honor you, to celebrate you, because you deserve a celebration. In my little village, in one of the entire local government, Benue State, there are over 20 young people who bear the name Gowon. And you have done Nigeria proud, you've done Africa proud, and we've learned so much from you. Our President has tremendous respect for your person and for your services to our dear country. I recall sometime, I think in 2021, you were coming back from Taraba, where you had gone to pray for our country, and you called me and said you were going to spend the night in Makodi. We had a discussion. I was so moved, I was so touched. The plan that the guest speakers mentioned in passing, he told me, other economists said the same thing, would have transformed this country into what we refer to as a Gulf state today. But the very, very Nigerians would have been somewhere closer to paradise. Unfortunately, the dream was shattered. That's for another day. But again, recall the issue of Fajakuta. It is said you cannot industrialize, you cannot make any meaningful impact, purposeful impact in the area of industrialization without having an integrated steel plant. President Shagari started work on that. 95% of that project had been completed. Again, shattered dreams. And you look at a visitor's book, Dajokuta, there are two very prominent comments there. 95% completed. It's a lot to finish it. It is still there. Additional Professor talked of power. When we came in 1999, when this country returned to participatory democracy, there were attempts to increase power generation capacity of country. I think we were producing 3,000 megawatts. And the three tiers of government came together to fund an emergency power project that will lead to generation of 6,000 megawatts, which will be added to the national grid by December 2007. Again, shattered dreams. So you see, when Oshomole said we should start from where we started missing things, he made a very valid point. This has been a remarkable statement speech by our very, very distinguished scholar, who is himself a local product. He finished from the University of Ife, so the foundation was laid locally before he moved over. I recall sometime, I think in 2022, in Jamaica at Montego Bay, met with Andrew Young, former ambassador of U.S. to the United Nations. On the same table, he came with his large group, we were talking, and he eulogized the intelligence, the brilliance of Nigerians. And he said in the health sector alone, there were over 22,000 Nigerian consultants, 22,000 medical consultants. And most of these were those who had been educated locally at the foundation level before they moved to the United States. And he said he visited one very sophisticated facility. And he was told that the most complicated, the most sensitive component of that facility was the registration of a Nigerian. We don't like good people. Some of the things Professor has mentioned in his statement are the things that this government is putting in place today. There are complex problems. Their solutions can never be as instant as coffee. You know, it's coffee that you take it and then instantly it charges you. These are complex problems. So please, I want to thank you so much for doing so much for your country, and you told me you are doing more. Professor Orama, another Nigerian, first-class economist like you, is the president of Afrexim Bank, also supporting this country. Some of the things that have happened, it's just unfortunate they have happened, but we cannot continue to behave like drained chicken. As Howard said, as human beings, we should be capable of self-pity, but not for so long. We must move ahead. Nations are great because their citizens believe that tomorrow will be always better than today. God bless Nigeria. God bless Yakubu, Gowon, and family. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the representative of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellency, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, in those profound words delivered on behalf of His Excellency, Mr. President. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, sir, I'd like to crave your indulgence to do this single honor our very special celebrant and members of the high table. I'd like to crave your indulgence to quickly do this. I'd like us to give a round of applause to our venue host, ECOWAS. Thank you very much for showing up and showing out for this event. Here, sir, is the National Planning Committee of the 90th birthday celebration. As I had already introduced our chair, Professor Jerry Gana, Professor Suleiman Bogoro, Secretary. Professor Bogoro is in the house. General Martin Luther Aguai, former CDS. We greet you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for all you do. General Ishaya Bamei, we thank you, sir. Air Marshal Isaac Alfa, Mr. Ibrahim Gowon, Professor Ganyi Lombing, Governor Boni Haruna, Governor Adamu Muazu, Professor Ambassador Abdullahi Shehu, Dr. Dauda Gowon, Prince Azu Ezibe, Barrister Humphrey Abba, Right Honorable Margaret Ichen, Major General James Ataguba, Dame Mrs. Loretta Laraba Malam, Dr. Oke Akubundu, Honorable Labaran Maku, Dr. Mike Omeri, Prince Bisi Olatilo, Dr. Ike Neliaku, Malam Bashir Abubakar, Honorable Dachung Bagos, Lieutenant Colonel I.E. Eniton, Dr. Ezra Yakusak, Honorable Jerry Damara, Pastor Dixon, Mr. Andy Gabriel, Mr. Hamza Atta, Barrister Chimdi Neliaku, Mr. Joki Ogbenekaru, Honorable Timothy Golu, Suleiman Abdul, Dr. Nnamdi Iwuji, Sir Jidofo Okoye, Mr. Loki Erakwemen, Mr. Eddie Nwagu, Mr. Lanre Lasisi, Mrs. Cynthia Okoye, Judith Moneke, Eunice Nwama, Mrs. Juliet Jockey, Simon Reef Musa, Honorable Adekole Ijogi, Obiabo Salina Oji, Mr. Ishaya Yakubu, Mr. Emmanuel Saba, Mr. Harrison Stephen, Mr. Kelechi Nnam, Mrs. Chinelo Okoye, and I'm bringing in the rear the very distinguished Senator Zwingina, who was a member of this committee. He was a member of this committee, and we lost him. We would like to remember him with 1 minute silence. May his soul rest in peace. And I happen to be lucky to be on this committee. Please, let's give a round of applause to all committee members. Thank you very much. Andy? I mentioned your name. I mentioned Andy Gabriel. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate time is fast spent, and we don't intend to keep you longer than necessary. We're bringing this event to a close, but not before we listen to the honoree, the man that we're all celebrating today. And I take a quote from him very quickly, and I said, and I quote, "I am painfully aware that many citizens of all walks of life who are sincere patriots are becoming concerned about the length of time it is taking to crush the insurgents in our country. We have one and only one aim in prosecuting this war against insurgency. It is to ensure that coming generations will live in a happier and a more stable country. Let us accept our present difficulties as a prize we've been called upon to pay in order to ensure a peaceful and a prosperous future for Nigerians and Nigerians yet unborn," unquote. And the same man who says, "Let us go on with one Nigeria." Great unifier, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring to the podium for his response our father, the father of modern Nigeria, His Excellency General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. Please, a standing ovation for him will do. He's a long walk from where he is. Keep clapping until he gets here. Let's keep giving him that round of applause till he gets to this very point. Whilst he's making his way here, former Governor of Kano State, Your Excellency Governor Ibrahim Shakari, please be on standby. Venerable Professor O.O. Fasanya, be on standby for the closing prayers. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the former head of state, the birthday boy, sir.
Very good. Kindly be seated. Kindly be seated. Thank you. Protocol-wise, it is always correct to recognize the chairman first before anyone else, no matter how high. So, may I say, Your Royal Highness or Your Eminence, Al-Haji Dr. Muhammadu Saad, don't you worry, I know. Saad Abubakar III. Now, you say he is the third. I know the first. And that first was a special man who ensured that we must have peace after the first insurrection in this country. He came, plead for peace, so that there is no reaction. I wonder what would have happened if things have gone differently. But for that man, when General Ironsi invited him to come to Lagos after what happened on January the 15th, and what he did, honestly, certainly saved the country from totally breaking up at that time. So I give him that respect. And his son, well, he also became a soldier. And a very good, was it Colonel? Well, don't you worry. He is holding a very high and important position in his part of the world. Well, I'm supposed to just say, well, Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, and then to introduce the most high and respected leadership in the country. And of course, here is where, we say, we recognize the President
the president of this country now, being represented by Senator George Akume, the secretary to the government, and then President of the Senate, beg your pardon. And then I think I must recognize, I think there is somebody who always follows me behind. He's called Aremu. And I can tell you yes. Now, from our first meeting in 1958 at Hythe, did you remember that, Aremu? He was on a course. I was also on a course, but of course I was a senior one, and he had to bail me out. When at the end of the week, when we've had our dinner and we've dined and had our wine, etc., you've got to pay your bill. And of course, I had arrived. I haven't got my ESTA code rate, so I haven't got much what I could pay with. And then there were two young Nigerian officers, young officers there then. And I think Shotomi was one of them. And of course, Aremu. Don't you worry, he's Obasanjo there, Obasanjo. And of course, so I had to ask them if they have any money that I can be able to use to pay for my mess bill. And of course, the first one, Shotomi, a very interesting young man, well said he couldn't make it. He hasn't got anything to give. So I asked Obasanjo then, and of course, he was able to give me, I think it was about £7 then, 7 British pounds, then. And so I paid my bill. And when my ESTA code, of course, came later, I gave it to him. So I took interest in him since then. And to make sure that he comes in, when he comes back to back to Nigeria, he should really always try to do the right thing. And yes, so when he came back and he said he wanted to do engineering, I was advising him engineering. There isn't very much opportunity to go right up, because at that time you only consider the infantry officers as people that might probably go right up to generalship. So I told him, why don't you go to infantry, and then you can get on faster. And of course, but however, he said no, he's going to remain as a sapper at that time. That is engineering. So that is him, and that was how we came very close with one another right through until today. So let me say this, that I'm supposed to be making a response to to this lecture. Response to what? Yeah, the response and also the tribute that we've received, my goodness, it has covered everything that everyone wants to sort of say, giving us credit for what has happened in the past. So there is no need for me to say any response to this, other than to say the response is, may I say, and I'm sure all of you will agree, that it is a wonderful lecture that we've had. It contained everything, advice to government, which I will sort of say, all government today, tomorrow, and after, any Nigerian government should listen to to that advice that is given. And honestly, with all the contribution also from all the contributors that made tribute today, I think that is my response. And I say just a very big thank you to all of you, everyone that is here, and all those who probably wanted to come but they could not make it. So that is my response for a wonderful lecture. And Grace, Madam, I gave her a new name, Christian her. This was in March this year at Award Foundation. Christian her, I gave her a new name. Well, I thought I was going to be given a ticket for doing that. And I gave her, what name did I give you? Was it Jennifer? I gave you Jennifer. And of course, so today, I sort of say, I know you've forgiven me. I ask you to forgive me for giving you, that name. But today, of course, it is Grace. Congratulations and well done for all the support you've been giving him to be able to do what he's been able to do in the African Development Bank and putting it right up there with any international organization. And my goodness gracious me, the way he is defending the interests of Africa and doing all he could, for Africa, that is great. So I'm delighted that my wife, or the Field Marshal, shall I say, I'm glad that she insisted that the person to come to give the lecture today would be him. Would be Dr. Yakubu Adesina. And I'm very glad that he was able to do it so brilliantly. Now, do you agree or not? Do you agree that it is an excellent and that should be my response? Good, so that we can live. God bless. So thank you very much indeed. And Grace, thank you. Thank you for being such a good partner. Mr. President of ECOWAS, Mr. Toure, thank you very much for giving us the use of your hall for this celebration. God bless you and God bless ECOWAS. Don't be disappointed what has happened recently, the Sahel group. But one thing that I know, they have not yet, no country has broken any diplomatic relations, direct relations with any of these countries. So in a way, they are still part of ECOWAS, in the spirit of ECOWAS. So continue to relate with them and bring them closer for the sake of our region that is doing so well, for which I know you are also helping very much indeed. So thank you all very much indeed. Thank you all for celebrating my 90th birthday. Now, may I also wish each and every one of you your happy birthday and future 90th birthday. God bless you all. Thank you.
While standing, can we please give Daddy another resounding applause? soft-spoken, icon, leader, and of course, quintessential pace setter. Please, another round of applause for His Excellency General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, GCFR. Go on with one Nigeria. Very quick announcements as he gets to his set. The first announcement is that I'm imagining that we want him to get to his seat before you take your seats. That is patriotism. That is mark of respect for an elder statesman. Please, another round of applause for General Dr. Yakubu Gowon. And in the military, please be seated. In the military, when a man is a general, his wife is a field marshal. So while we're celebrating the general, please can we also salute the field marshal, Mrs. Yakubu Gowon, CFR, with a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I just want to make these quick announcements as we take our seats, please. First is that Your Excellencies, there will be a Thanksgiving service in honor of our father tomorrow, 2 p.m., Christian National Center, opposite the new Central Bank. Then secondly, there will be a banquet of honor in honor of the celebrant tomorrow by 6 p.m. at the old banquet hall of the Presidential Villa. Old banquet hall of the Presidential Villa, Aso Rock. And the time for the banquet is 6 p.m. Buses have been provided because of the very limited parking space they have. Buses have been provided to convey distinguished guests from the Eagle Square, where all our vehicles will be parked, and all fully air-conditioned buses with security provided to convey very many of us from the Eagle Square to the Presidential Villa banquet and back to Eagle Square when eventually the dinner comes to a close. The next announcement is that there will be a group photograph after the vote of thanks for only members of the esteemed high table. Those are the announcements. Church service 2 p.m., banquet 6 p.m., movement from Eagle Square to the Presidential Villa will start by 4 p.m. on the dot. We thank you very much for your kind attention as we invite the Secretary of the National Planning Committee for this birthday to please come forward with a vote of thanks for all and sundry. Please join me in welcoming the former Executive Secretary, TED Fund, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro. There's a round of applause for him. We also apologize that the cards were provided from the villa, and so we have very limited cards, just about 800 cards. So please kindly bear with us. Professor Suleiman Bogoro for the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Baba, Father of our great nation, General Dr. Yakubu Gowon, and celebrant, of course, at this occasion of his 90th birthday. Next to him, as we all know, is the Field Marshal. Baba legitimized that title, Mama, going forward. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented at this occasion by the Secretary to Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, former President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, former Vice Presidents, and all other appropriate protocols duly observed. The very distinguished guest speaker that spoke so eloquently earlier, the President Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, the very distinguished chairman of the occasion, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, that is discharged his responsibility so well. Other distinguished guests, governors, present and former governors that are with us here, a cross-section of some of the most respected personalities in Nigeria that has not found itself in one place the way it has happened today. On behalf of the Planning Committee and invariably on behalf of the convener of the celebration itself, and that is Her Excellency Victoria Gowon, who requested us to put together a celebration that will be reflective of her husband at the age of 90, and in the history of our country, that a surviving former president or head of state at that age, like the guest speaker had said, he has beaten many records. We joined the family in celebrating. On behalf of the committee, we want to appreciate ECOWAS for providing this venue. We want to appreciate individuals and groups, including some unnamed philanthropists that made contribution quietly to the preparations and eventual staging of this great occasion today. We want to appreciate you. As individuals came to address us, and as we look back, we realize that this collection here is a microcosm of Nigeria in diversity and in respectability. There is no section of Nigeria that is not represented here. And we are doing this because of former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, that represents so many things that have been mentioned already. And there is no doubt about it that sobriety naturally enveloped this gathering because of the personality of the celebrant. There is no doubt about it that if you pick any aspect of former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, you find out that you will be struggling to meet up even half of the criteria and the rating of what has justified this gathering today. Distinguished Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that if all of us are able to take the lessons of those things that have been listed about General Yakubu Gowon, we are sure that this country will be better. At his age, he's still on his feet. And we remember government after government have sought his wisdom and his advice. And we recall only a few months ago, during a challenge of insecurity, he went to visit the President of Nigeria and he offered advice in respect of the challenges in the ECOWAS sub-region. Your Excellency, sir, this country can never thank you enough. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once more and finally, on behalf of the Planning Committee, the chairman and all of us that are members, we want to say that history has been made with the very great remarks that were expressed. We believe that if each of us play our roles and we take advantage of the humility and grace of former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, Nigeria will be the better for it. Nigeria will come out of the challenges that we thought have been stagnating us. On behalf of the committee, once more, I say thank you and God bless you as you return to your various destinations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for that good vote of thanks. Your Excellencies, we are not unaware of the fact that very many of our guests who ordinarily would have been here have also found a way to commiserating with the family of the Ohanese Ndibo President General who passed on a few weeks ago, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyango. So our heart goes to the family, and so we commiserate with them, and that's why quite a good number are not here. They extend their regrets, and we'd like to appreciate all of you that have turned up here this evening. And as a result of that, we just want to announce that the photograph will be taken just before the national anthem so that we don't make it very rowdy. The banquet, as I said before, is at 6 p.m. and is strictly by invitation. Please, kindly bear with us. A golf tournament is also being organized by the Laminga Golf Club, Plateau State, Jos, tomorrow in honor of our nonagenarian, and it's being organized by His Excellency Senator Simon Bakola along the immediate past governor of Plateau State. May we invite the chairman of the occasion, along with all our distinguished guests, for the group photograph. May we please rise for the photograph. Photographers, can you please quickly make your way to the fore so you can please capture these pictures for our archives. Immediately after the photograph, we'll be calling. Whilst to take the photograph, we'll be inviting Senator Ibrahim Shekarau. It's going to be that way. Senator Ibrahim Shekarau and Professor O.O. Adesoya to please come forward for the closing prayers that will be done we'll keep it really very brief. Senator Ibrahim Shekari, I beg your pardon, the former governor of Kano State, former Minister of Education. Professor Adesoya, please join us here, sir. Oh, Venerable Professor Adesoya, Venerable. Senator Shehu Sani, we appreciate you. Senator Kila, we also appreciate you. Former Governor of Plateau, Jonah Jang, please join them for this photograph. Photographers, videographers, General Martin Luther Aguirre, please. Please, let's pave way for them very quickly. Photographers, you're on duty. Thank you very much. Please, we'll take the prayers just as you remain standing. 2 minutes, prayers. Professor, Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Shekari, former governor of Kano.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار آمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Venerable Fasoya.
Let us pray. We thank you, gracious Lord, for bringing us to the close of this program. We thank you for all the wishes and prayers that have been offered for this nation. We pray, Lord, that this hour you will make a decree upon our nation, Nigeria, that there will be a turnaround. Now all our leaders will receive the wisdom from heaven. And indeed, for our father, the general, and his lovely wife and family, you will continue to bless them. Father, God of mercy, as we depart from here, we will not depart from the presence of the Lord. The graciousness of God will be upon every one of us, young, old, and elderly. In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. The national anthem, please.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this event has closed, and we thank you all very much